Well, Jan, it's my pleasure. I've been talking for many years about the organ harvesting that goes on in China. It doesn't get a lot of attention nationally. Why is that?
The truth is that the first truth is that people just can't imagine the horror of it. I really think so, because I've been working on this for 20 years or so, okay? And when I first realized it was real, and I should probably explain what it is, right? We're not talking about garden variety organ transplantation here that's, people sort of ending up in a ice tub or something like this and missing a kidney. We're talking about a much more serious situation where you need a state actor. You need someone who is actually able to push propaganda through into a system and dehumanize a group of people and also incarcerate a large group of people. This is what the Chinese Communist Party did with the Falun Gong back in 1999. And what they did was they basically incarcerated. Imagine it. We think it's about 1 million. Maybe it's more. It's a state secret. We don't know the exact numbers. But then they started blood typing and tissue typing them, okay, and creating a database of vitals. And now, before 2006, there were actually ads online that said, in 2 weeks, if you have 200 grand or some number, you can get a new heart in communist China in the matter of 2 weeks scheduled. So they already knew when someone was going to die. And the only way that could happen is because they already had that person, that so-called donor, right, pre-typed, ready to go, ready to be killed to order for the benefit of the recipient. That's the situation. And it's happening to the tune of 60 to 90,000 transplants a year since the late 2000s.
All right, Jan. So this obviously is the title of your book, Kill to Order. You have these prisoners. Somebody is a match. They're not just going to take a kidney or something you can donate. They're going to take your heart and literally leave you dead. This is what's happening.
This is exactly what's happening. And, it's a very hard thing to actually measure. We have an example of a hospital. We've actually published this in the Epoch Times in 2016. The article was called A Hospital Built for Murder. And this hospital was kind of advertising to the world that it was being very successful, okay, in its organ transplantation industry. It was comparing itself to big transplant service centers like in Pittsburgh and so forth. But then when we looked at the actual numbers, the number of hospital beds, the number of people actually going for these transplants, it was like an order of magnitude greater. So they basically had sort of made the numbers less so that it wouldn't look suspicious, if you will, but still were touting their great successes in transplantation. And this is just one example of a hospital.
So I could see a CCP higher up certainly doing this. Is there any indication that if you're a billionaire from the United States or from France or Italy that you make an appointment and you fly to China and you get a heart? Is that happening, or is it just people in China?
It's people from all over the world, from what we know. I mean, we have basically the better part of 20 years of evidence that's been gathered. I have one example, and I'll share this here. A credible example that was verified by a explant surgeon in Germany, a former explant surgeon in Germany, where there's a woman who had basically like a psoriasis of the liver. She's a heavy drinker, and she ended up going to China, some sort of rare condition, and getting a transplant. And she actually ended up doing this 3 times, if you can imagine, basically drinking that liver into psoriasis each time. So this is something that's really kind of impossible, but it's available to someone who does have a lot of money and very loose morals.